Hi, good morning. Today is Monday. Today is Monday, November the 21st, year 2022. It is 3:29 a.m. You know, I'll give you a little backstory. I've talked about my situation on previous episodes, but I'll give you a backstory. Since um, moving to America, I have always said that I've never wanted to live in an apartment building. I never wanted to live in the projects. I never wanted to live in because of the because there was so many people. I've always liked to live in houses, and I've always had that. I've always gotten that. Like I said, it's only since the pandemic. Um, it's only since the pandemic everything has been turned topsy turvy in my life and stuff. As of course millions of others, but this is just my story. Where I'm at ever since I've moved here, I've spoken about it before. The tenants upstairs somehow or the other has been drawn to me in a negative way. And we all have that, right? We all have had that. We've all had people that has been drawn to us in a negative manner, probably bullying, probably harassing. I get it from them both. I don't know them, but what I do know is that since I've been here, they've made my life, and they've made my peace. They've made it very, very difficult to attain and not to have. I kept wondering, what is their problem? Sure, they were given information about who was right under them. I don't have the whole apartment. It's just a room that I occupy here in this apartment building, in this apartment. It seems to me that every time that I have an online presence, it because of who I am, you understand, because of who I am, and my online presence, which is absolutely nothing. I've since maybe a week or two now, I've taken off my social media, off of whatever. But I'm being stalked and harassed by them upstairs. I've spoken about it, I've talked to my caseworkers and managers or whatever, you know. Nothing has come of it, you know what I mean. Yesterday morning, they laid low for a while. I took off my TikTok off of all my phones and everything like that. I don't go on it. You would not believe the amount of attention that people would go to, and the length that people will go to just to get your attention. You just wouldn't understand. And this is the era that we're living in now, right? The era that we're living in now is the era that people would just do just about anything just to gain followers. I'm not one of them, but I'm surrounded by people that do that. For a spate, for a minute, I wasn't posting for a while. You know, I figured I wasn't going to post until I moved out of here and everything like that. Uh, and I'm hearing it, Pastor, and, hey, go ahead, do that, do this. And I'm just like, Pastor, you don't understand. I said, Pastor, you don't understand the evil that I'm under. You don't understand that the evil that I'm surrounded by. It was I would say maybe last week. I wasn't posting for a while, and it was quiet for a while. Maybe too quiet, right? And I spoke about it. You heard me spoke about it, and because I was, so upset, but I just wanted you to understand what it is that I've been. The incident with the water. Today is the 21st, so it would have been maybe last week that I spoke about the incident with the water, and went to take a shower and the water was off, and didn't know if it was someone from the building management that came up to, and I wasn't told, and I wanted to go out, that type of thing, because it's important, right, that you kind of know this is therapy for me as far as talking about what I'm going through, and because when you look and you see other people's story and you say, oh wow, okay, I'm not the only one. You're not the only one. After I made that podcast, it was on the 14th, and I really don't really go back listen to any podcasts, and I just make them and post them. But I know it was the 14th because I'm seeing the notice in front of me when they were going to turn the water off. I made that on the 14th, and since I made that, that's when the noise started again. You you ever had those neighbors that live in more than one apartment? No, but what do I mean? There are some neighbors and there are some people that it is not enough that they live in their apartment. They have to live in yours too. In other words, they don't have enough business in their abode to mind. So they have to encroach upon yours to mind yours. So whatever I have going on down here with me or my roommates is of concern, and it becomes their business upstairs. Because the harassment once again started once I made that podcast about, about the water situation and it being turned off and everything because somehow it concerns them. How? Mm-hmm. Yesterday morning, I I was awoken violently. I jumped out of my bed. I heard a loud crash. It was them upstairs. I looked at the time and it wasn't yet 4 a.m. I would say maybe it was 3:53 a.m. So I put on my noise canceling on YouTube, thunder lightning, just to try to get to sleep. So somehow or the other, they found out where my bed was at. So they did a little bit of renovation upstairs where they have moved their bed, because usually whenever they used to terrorize me, it would be in different parts of the room. It would be maybe close to the door and everything, but maybe they were given information as to exactly where my bed was. I have a good idea who gave them that information. So now the noise comes directly from above, where I would be sleeping on my bed. I put on the noise canceling sound, and this is where the stalking comes in, right? Whenever I go online, they know when I am online because of my T-Mobile setup. So, whenever you look for a connection online, it goes down the list of what's, and the connectivities that you can what's available. So whenever they see the T-Mobile hotspot, they already know I'm online because that is my personal stuff. They scour that list every 5 minutes. They scour that list all day, every day. And when they see me online, they know I am here. Or if someone in the apartment doesn't tell them, they have a very good relationship with the one of my roommates, the one next door. I attempted to try to, go back to sleep and everything like that. Did I tell you the time that I'm doing this? It's 3:29, right? I mean, 3 something in the morning. There's a reason why, right? I realized I couldn't go back to sleep. So I got up and They're still making noise. And this is one of the reasons I told, I tell Pastor, I said, Pastor, this is one of the reasons, excuse me. Yesterday morning in New York at 4 something in the morning, leaving out of here, I would say, what was the temperature yesterday morning? I just left when I went outside. There's a passage in the Bible that it's better for a man to be out there in the jungle than or in the forests or in the wilderness than to be in a house with a nagging wife. I think it is better to be in a house with a nagging wife than to be in a house with the presence of evil surrounding you. Because most of the time you find that women that nag, they do it there's always some underlying reason why. Maybe they want attention, that sort of stuff. But it always derives from love. They care about their husbands. I left. Yesterday morning, I left my apartment after, around 4 o'clock, after 4 o'clock a.m. I must tell you, it was very cool yesterday morning when I left. I felt it was better to be out there than to be in here because I don't have a whole apartment, you understand? It's just a room. I have told them I don't want to be here. I've said it over and over and over. Move me. I didn't want to be here. I didn't get to sleep. I didn't get to bed last night until after 12. As usual, they're busy upstairs. They're very, very busy upstairs. But they're only busy when they know I'm down here in my room, you see. You hear the stomping and you hear at 9:42 p.m. last night, they started hammering. Oh, yeah. They do that a lot. They hammer in my head. They stomp in my head. They pitter-patter in my head. It's all acts of wicked behavior, you see. And then you would realize why there's a waiting list, why there's a stigma in renting to certain individuals in New York. And when you look back at it, you can't really blame them. When I look at it far off, you can't really blame them. Because why would you want to move someone like them into your place? I wouldn't. There's many stories, you see. So I just got to sleep not too long ago. And then I'm awakened by stomping in my head, right above my head, because remember now, they did it the morning before, so they're going to do it again. Yesterday morning when they did it, when I looked at I usually write everything down. But when they did it yesterday morning, it was around 3 something also. So they're doing it again. When I looked at my clock this morning, after I was, again, do you know what it feels like to be violently woken up out of your sleep, spitefully? Do you know what it feels like? I can't. I'm sure you do. Usually when you're woken up out of your sleep, it's because of an emergency. But the emergency, there was no emergency. It was just allowed, it just was alerting me to the demons upstairs, so just letting me know that we're still here. And that brings me to the title of my podcast. You know, many movies and many books have been written about what the devil looks like and what evil looks like. And they show you monsters, and they show you all of these fantastical creatures and aliens. And what I want you to know, the true face of evil, is just hold up a mirror. There are no cyborg monsters out there. There are no aliens and no five-legged arachnids, monsters, and it's you and I. The faces of evil are the friends of Shanquella Jackson. The faces of evil are some of our neighbors. The faces of evil are some of our employees, some of our co-workers. The faces of evil are the people that we meet every day and smile in our faces. Those are the faces of evil. Those are the true faces of evil. The faces of evil are those that kidnap women and children. The faces of evil are those that traffic women and children. The faces of evil are those that murdered those 4 Idaho children in their beds. The faces of evil. The faces of evil are all around us, you see. And you have to ask yourself, what is their purpose, right? What are they after? The thing is, you know what it means to be possessed. I call them demon possessed upstairs because that is what they are. Your body is, they don't teach us this in school, but your body is a porthole to other dimensions. Whether you do drugs, whether you're an alcoholic, it's all portholes. And I don't think people seem to understand that whatever you ingest, you have then given that substance. You have then given that substance permission to do what it will to your mind and to your body. That is why when someone ingests drugs, it changes them because they're no longer themselves, you see. They become a whole different person. That entity, that spirit, that demonic spirit have taken over their body. It whispers to them, it talks to them. And they're always in need of that substance again. Now they have become a slave to that substance. And they have these demons whispering in their head, you have to get more, you have to get more, go get more, go get more. They want to go get more just for that high. And what do? They might rob, steal, whatever. Many a times when they do it, they can't even help it, but because they are being driven, it's a possession, they're being driven to do it. Hence why it's so hard to break free of that demon. And some do and some don't. Some fall right back in. God, the demons are just saying, come to me, let me make you feel good. I can make you feel good again. Do you know what they used to call alcohol back in the day? Back in the 1900s. Used to call alcohol spirits. Have you ever seen someone when they're under the influence? You ever know why they call it under the influence? They call it under the influence because they are no longer themselves. They're under the influence of something other than themselves. They are under the influence of a spirit. They have been possessed, you see. They have opened they have opened their being up to an evil dimension. Hence why many of them can't even remember what they did the night before. On social media, I saw that they have a big bulletin up in Florida, and it states that being drunk is no excuse for rape. Now, I sat back and I thought about it, and I was just like, wow, okay, this needs to be talked about. Somewhere in Florida, they had to put up a big billboard sign to let, because there's a little girl on there, right? There's a face of a child on there. So is it that fathers are raping their daughters? This has been going on anyways, but even more so. But now they're saying, oh, I was drunk. This is the excuse that they give, right? Let me tell you something. I don't drink, I don't smoke, but I have. I've drank liquor before. And I guess you wouldn't call beer or red wine liquor. Maybe you call it alcohol, but I mean hard liquor, never really. But I didn't like the way it made me feel, I was woozy. And do you know how what I wanted to do when I was under the influence of that entity, of that spirit? I wanted to go lie down. Yeah, that's what I did. And I felt so dirty. I felt so guilty. I went and I hid. I probably was about 11 or 12 years old. I went and I stole some beer out of my mother's cabinet. She didn't drink, but she used it to cook. She used it to clean the meats or whatever. But I saw everybody else drinking, there on the street or on television. I thought maybe this must be something good. And I didn't like it. I never drank beer since then. And I didn't like the way it made my stomach feel, all those bubbles and acid. Just wasn't for me. Same thing with smoking, right? I never understood why they made cigarettes look so cool, because one time when someone dropped a cigarette, I've always wanted, I was like, I want to smoke too. I see everyone else doing it and they make it look so cool. Just like they made it cool for women to smoke back in the 60s, but many of them ended up with lung cancer anyway. But anyway, I picked up the half-smoked cigarette and it was still smoldering. So I picked it up and I smoked it, trying to look real cool. And about the most nastiest thing I ever put in my mouth. It was just like, what is this? This is awful. This is awful. There's nothing enjoyable about smoking a cigarette. I could only imagine how some people feel the first time they put it in their mouth. But they must have been, it's not a good taste, it's not a good smell, but they must have been prompted to it, because you see, you can teach yourself to accept anything. Because if someone says, just keep smoking it, it's going to, you're going to feel it. It's not that it tastes good, it smells good, it just makes you addicted, right? Just before I turned off social media, I saw on the video that young lady, and how she was being beaten in the video, and she was naked and stuff. You see, it was 24 hours before she went down there, before she was dead. This brings me to, it was all a setup, and these are people that she called her friends. And we all have people like that. I don't, because I stick to myself. But we all have people like that, right? We have people that smile in our faces but do very sinister things behind our back. I don't care if you talk about me or not. It doesn't matter to me. We're not together. I don't care. But if you cannot have people that you call a friend around you that's talking about you like a dog, how? Why? At 9:42 p.m. last night, when the hammering was hammering, the demons upstairs were hammering, I wrote in my journal on my phone, as soon as I wrote that in my journal, I heard tapping outside. And it kept on tapping. So I opened my door, and it's the roommate next door with her door open, the one that's upstairs. That's the one that's friends with the upstairs neighbor. And I told her quietly, I said, please don't start. Because what I've began to understand is that bad behavior is very, very contagious in this era that we're in, or is it mostly in America? Because you don't realize how sick we are until you take a trip outside of the matrix. This is a very sick country that we live in. But you have to remain above it all. What do I mean? You never repay evil for evil. There was something about that child when she was being beaten by those demons, and when you look at it, right, when you look at it, You have to ask yourself, what was the purpose of that, right? Was it a gang initiation? Was it a ritual? Was it a sacrifice because they killed that girl down there? A week before that, there were three African Americans murdered down there in Mexico also. They say that they died by carbon monoxide, but I'm always suspicious of everything, because if you look at it, there was 4 white kids slain in their bed in Idaho. And then last week, there was 3 down in Mexico. And then this one, Shanquella, that makes 4. So you look at 4 and 4. What is going on? That's what I'm looking at. I know that when people do things, they're being driven to do it, right? They're being driven to do it. And let me tell you something. You're only being driven to do something you can only do something evil if that evilness is already within you, or if it's already overpowering within you. They're being driven, you see, they're being driven to do the evil that this demon wants them to do. Do you remember that girl that was, I forgot what her name was. Do you remember the one that was locked in the freezer? Someone knew what happened to her. She was with friends again, you remember? She was with friends again. And she was locked and she died in that freezer. Growing up, our parents, especially our mothers, always warn us about friends. But do you know what that young lady said when she was getting so brutally beaten by her so-called friends? Do you know how evil what we saw online was? I've seen a lot of evil things, though. But it was a brother. Mm-hmm. Now you have to understand why black women we love black men, right? But I think I'll take that to the black channel because there's something so significant about what happened there. Because it wasn't a bunch of white people that was beating that child. Then we would have had something to really talk about. But then that just goes to show that there are people that you call your friends, but they're really your enemies, but you would never know that. because you guys are laughing and, having a good time, and, you guys go out to eat and you guys chill out together and everything, but in their heart they have nothing but resentment for you. Why? It could be something simple, You don't know. The thing is that you don't know. That is why God says, God knows the heart. You have no idea the evil that lurks in men's hearts. You have no idea. They smile in your face, but they hate you to the core in their hearts. So when you do a little deep diving, you find out about her, She was a beautiful young lady. She was beautiful, she was successful, and she was making moves, She was progressing in life. You would be surprised how that very thing is abhorrent in people's eyes. You would be surprised how that very thing would make someone hate you because you're handsome. You got a nice build. And you're successful too. Yo, that dude think he's all that, man. Yo, yeah, man. That nigga don't even come out and he don't even hang with us anymore, man. That nigga think he better than us. Yeah, he is. Look at that bitch. That bitch think that she all that. Look at that. Look at what she wearing. Oh my God. Girl, you ain't all that. Yeah. Yes, she is. Maybe you have to go to a luncheon. Maybe you're being honored or you're being awarded, and just take a good look at your friends around you. Are they happy for you? I mean, are they truly, truly happy for you? Does the smile on their face, does it reach their eyes? Yeah. Sometimes people smile and that it doesn't really reach their eyes, Their eyes are just cold and hard, just like their heart. They mean you no good. But these are people that some people call friends. You're like, nah, that's just how they are, really. Then if that's the way they are, why in this world would you have someone like that? Why would you consider someone like that a friend? Do you know what the meaning of a friend is? A friend is someone that wants your best interest and have your best interest at heart. In the Bible, in the good book, it says, there's nothing better than a good friend. And here's the word, good friend. Good. In other words, not bad. In other words, not evil. I think that we're too loose with that word friend. I realized that to have certain people around you is a detriment to you. It is detrimental to what you want to accomplish, especially if you have those people as friends. Especially if you tell those people your plans and your goals and the moves that you're making or want to make, especially. You see people doing all kind of things to antagonize and to aggravate other people just out of the blue for no reason. And you're like saying, "Oh, why?" you ever just like, you ever just stand back and just look and you have to question an event? Because you have to ask the question, why, right? It's simple. It's a demonic presence. And everybody is thinking, oh, this demonic is just like, no. It's a spirit. It's a possession. And the answer, you remember when I told you that I hid when I drank that beer? I think it was only one beer, right? But the young lady that was beating on Shanquella, she's in hiding now. And my thing is like, why would you hide? What really happened down there? What really happened? What really happened and why did it happen? Because do you understand that if we're friends and because the first story was that she was drunk. But if I'm with my friends and I'm drunk, I'm with my friends. And my friends are going to look out for me. I'm not with associates. I'm not with strangers. I'm with my friends. So I'm okay. If you're going to be under the influence around anybody, my gosh, let it be family members or friends, right? She was with her friends. She should be okay, right? Should be, right? I spoke about cowardism recently, and I want you to know that we're in a very sick era. And they set that young lady up. They set that young lady up to beat on her just to film it. The lowest form of man? I would be a pedophile, but I can tell you that brother that was filming that episode, he ranks right up there with that pedophile on my list. Do you know how depraved of an individual you would have to be to not only watch, to be a bystander, not only watch something like that happen, but to actually take out your phone and film it? I marvel at the evil that is in our atmosphere. A couple years ago, I saw some boys film a man drowning. He couldn't swim. And they take out their phone and they start filming him. And he was gasping. And he was crying out for help. And the boys just jeered at him and they were filming it. And he drowned right there while they were filming that. You know what else I saw? I saw a police officer handcuffed a black man. Put him in the back of his police car and took the drugs that the brother had and put it in his mouth if it was not already in there. But then he took his baton and he forced it down his throat in the back of the police car. That brother died. It was all on videotape. And there was more than one police officer there. And they were all guilty of murder. You can see the brother gagging on the baton. It was a little baggie of drugs, you see, and he was shoving it down his throat with his baton. You want to know the true faces of evil. That is what evil looked like. I saw another police officer who went to the back of a police car and he was doing something to the passenger in the back. Because you're just a passenger. You haven't been charged with anything. You haven't gone before a judge. So you're just a passenger to the back of a car. There was another black man. And this was in Florida. Because there was a Spanish female, a Spanish woman. She was another police officer. And she went to stop him. She was like, no, don't do that. Whatever he was doing, I think. I can't imagine. But I can only suspect that he was about to take that man's life. He was doing something really, really sinister back there to visit to that black man. I think he had pepper spray and he was trying to force open his eyes to pepper spray his eyeballs. There were more than one police officer there, but it was the Spanish one that tried to pull him off of him and say, no, don't do that. And he turned around and he choked her. He says, you let me do my job on this earth. I have come to wreak havoc and to bestow evil upon this world for my master, so you let me do that. Of course, he didn't say that, but I'm improvising. But he did choke her, and he gave her a few choice words. There's a great evil upon us. I know it, I see it, and I feel it. It is everywhere you look. And our children are not faring any better, are they? In D.C., a group of young black boys pounced upon an elderly woman. She was probably in her 50s and 60s. Do you remember the day when an old head or an older person in your community can tell you something? Yo, young man, don't do that. Don't go over there. Or an older man might tell you, hey, young man, don't say that to her. Don't do that. It was on a bus in D.C. The boys were using foul language. They were very loud. And there was a mother and her children, young children. So she politely told them, because she had to tell them more than one time. She's like, why are you guys acting like animals? You're acting like animals. Stop it. Something to that effect. Well, instead of them stopping the behavior, they went to a whole other level. Or they grabbed that woman and they started pounding on her, kicking her, and trying to get her off the bus. And here's the part that I've never seen before. So there's the bus driver, right? And they're filming it, and the back door is open. And this is the era of apathy. Right? The bus driver doesn't close the door. The bus driver doesn't call for help. The bus driver does nothing. Not only the bus driver does nothing, but the people on the bus does nothing. This is in D.C., but this is the era that we're living in. And my only question, these were boys, maybe 15, 16, 17. I only want to know one question. Who are the parents of these boys? Because I can tell you they have failed miserably. We're living in an era now that children don't respect who came before them. Hence the reason why 21 Savage could say, Nas, yeah, all right, but he's irrelevant. They have no respect for the elders, They have no respect for who came before them, because they forget themselves that they too one day will be older and be talked about as being relevant or irrelevant, you see. I love when people tell their stories, because when people tell their stories, you you kind of find out that, hey, I'm really not alone as to what I'm going through. Yeah, I'm going through that very thing right now. And it helps you to see a spark of light behind those clouds, that dark, very dark day, because these are dark days, These are very dark days that we're living in. These are the days that people will do anything for social media just to get a couple likes or to get a follow or for you to subscribe. They'll say anything, even if it isn't true. But you don't know it's not true until whenever. But then it's too late because you've already said what you said and you've already did what you did. Around me, as I'm speaking to you, I'm always being triggered, or I'm always being aggravated to react because the spirit that's inside of them, they're driving them to do so. They're driving them to want to do things to get a reaction out of me. But I see it for what it is. And I could have made a podcast yesterday morning, but I decided not to, right? Because I know that is what they want. Do you understand how toxic that is, that people are doing stuff just so you can talk about them? This is the era that we're living in, but it usually comes from children, right? It usually comes from children. This is the behavior of teenagers, not adults. But possession doesn't have an age, right? Gets into anyone. But it's for you to rebuke it. You have to rebuke that spirit. You have to repel it. Because you cannot give that spirit, you cannot give that entity a host, because it can only be inside of you if you give it permission. And you give it permission whenever you ingest whatever substance you ingest. You're giving that substance, that entity, permission. You've given it authority over your being for you to become accessible to whatever. There's spirits around us all the time. But God has been so good to us to not allow the devil to just get inside of you unless you give it permission. That is why the devil had to go to God to get permission to go to Job and do what he did. He needs permission. In other words, you have a choice. We have a choice. We have a choice whether to behave good or bad, whether to do good or evil. You have a choice. So when some people say that they can't help it or they couldn't help it, it's true to an extent, because they've already accepted that demon inside of them, that spirit inside of them. So then, once they've done that, whatever that spirit makes them do, you're right, you don't have a choice, but you had a choice to whether accept it or not. You chose that. You chose that. Human beings are the true faces of evil. We are. What does evil look like? You don't have to look for. It's all around us, All you have to do is put on the news. We are living in some perilous times now, and it is our duty and it is our obligation to instill the truth, to instill truth and goodness in our children and in the younger generation. It is mandatory. It is our obligation to do that. Teach them the right way. Then whatever they want to do afterwards, it's up to them. But it is our duty as the ones that comes before, as parents, as adults, to raise our children, raise them in the right way. Raise them good. I'm around people that it is very hard to have to be around people that means you know well. That doesn't mean well for you. But you must, because we're all in this together. Because hopefully in the future they can wrestle free of that demonic entity that's inside of them, that drives them to self-harm and to do harm to others. Many people have so-called friends around them just because they don't want to be lonely. They know that person doesn't mean them any well. They know that person doesn't mean them. They don't have good intentions for them, but yeah, just somebody to hang out with. Why? No. Because what you don't understand, by allowing that person into your presence, you're allowing that spirit into your inner sanctum. You may call it just hanging out, but just hanging out, there's auras around everyone. It's unseen, right? We all give off some type of energy. You can go around a person and you just feel something, but you don't feel right? Some people call it intuition, but call it whatever you will, and maybe there might not be something that comes out of it, but a rule of thumb is to listen to it. I can tell you that because in the past I haven't, and I didn't. And I suffered because of it. So to allow someone in your presence and around your aura that that doesn't mean you're good. That doesn't, just for the sake of company, you're doing yourself a great disservice. I can laugh and I can smile with you, and I know that you don't mean me. You have bad intentions for me, but I will never call you friend. And I will never go out with you, and I will never. No. Because, nowadays days people don't know what a real friend is. I am looking for a good person to be my friend. In other words, you can't be good to Tom, Dick, and Harry, but then Jennifer over there, you're evil too just because you don't like her religion. You can't be my friend. You can't be good to Sarah, Jessica, or Cleo, but then you're evil to Brian over there because he's black. You understand? If you come in my realm, to be around me, for me to consider you, even want to go out with you, and you have to be a good person. And a good person has no color to me. I don't care if you're black, white, orange, red, purple, pink. You have to have a good heart. And in this era that we're living in, it's so few and far between. I watch everything. I observe most things. And the way this world is going, it would sink you into a very, very deep stupor. Right? But there are some very, very good people out there too. Unfortunately, they don't really talk too much about the good people because, you see, it's the negativity and the horrors of this world that sell newspapers, that get views. Anything negative is good. Unfortunately, people tune in more to the negative than the positive. Well, I'm gonna let you go. I think I'll do another podcast. I'll go over to the other page and I'll do something. So, yeah, I always like to give parting words before I finish, but what can be said? About this era that we're living in? I can say just give love. Be kind. That's the most difficult thing you're going to do. Right? You say, what about the people upstairs, CC? I was like, I have nothing to do with them. When I say be kind, I really mean to be kind to those that you can be kind to, Because the real fact of it is that no matter how kind or nice you are to some people, they would turn around and bite you and stab you in the back. Kindness, I have found, doesn't change a person. Only that person can change themselves. But you, on the other hand, you, on the other hand, can change how you relate to that person. You have to be around someone that you know that don't like you for whatever reason you didn't give them, but they have somehow manifested in their twisted minds. You know that, then you treat them accordingly. I used to ask that question, why? Well, wait a minute, I didn't do you anything wrong. I didn't, you would keep asking yourself that, right? And my answer to you is that you don't have to. You don't have to do anything wrong to that person for them to dislike you. Someone could just dislike you for what the clothes that you wear. It's just that simple. It's just that. It doesn't take much, but it's not you. It's not something that you have to absorb or take in or worry about, right? That's their problem, not yours. You just move on. What becomes a problem is when they see that their dislike of you doesn't affect you. So they're going to up the ante. And so this is my situation as far, right? They know I don't like this or they don't like that. Or, you know what? I'm going to do this because this is going to disturb her. This is going to disturb her peace. Let's do this. Let me do that. Yo, I'm going to do this to him. Or I'm going to do that to him because I know that nigga don't like that. And that's what it's the mentality of that individual, you see. And when you're like that and you cannot be around low vibrational people and expect them to be your friends. You cannot be around energy vampire people that want to just harass you for no reason. They're trying to pull your energy from you just because. I implore you to not be around people like that. Get from around that as fast as you can. You will be better off for it. Much better. I will leave you with this. Just take a look around you. Take stock of who your friends are. No friends from associates and associates from casual encounters. You know, the ones that you see and you say, hey, how you doing? All right. Yeah. You just see them now and then. Not everybody is a friend. You have to know what the meaning of a friend is. A friend will give their life for you. A friend would stand up for you, even when not in your presence. That's what a friend would do. A friend would not collude with other individuals to talk about you, nor to set you up and do things to hurt you. I think that what happened to this sister, this young lady, is such a very, very good example of how how low this world have sunk. America, anyways. The depravity of it all. The sadistic nature of it all. No. That is what we are. We, as human beings, are the true faces of evil. We are the monsters. Okay, that's my time, folks. Take care. Love you.